Let's do this.
All right, yeah, let's do it. So first, I want to go over PayPal, doing some trade reviews. Today, played PayPal. I can't, uh, I can't show my trades on this one because it was with an options. It was with options. It doesn't show the trade entries. But this was PayPal. Holy crap, this runs slow. Um, and so PayPal is one that gapped up on earnings, right? This is one that was in the watch list. And it was acting really. First thing I noticed was in the pre-market, uh, it was acting really strong. So it was holding above VWAP. I noticed it came down here and it just got bought, and it was kind of just getting bought at it the whole morning. And so typically, when you see something like that, it's something that's really strong that institutions are buying, that big money is buying. Anytime it comes back to the average price paid, they just buy it. So that's kind of the first thing I noticed. It was really bullish, but at the same time, the price action running up to it, and I had noticed this like earlier last week too, was just really bullish. It basically, stopped at the highs for a day, and then it kind of just kept chugging, went right through. And I mean, this was just like I don't know, it was just a huge gap, and so I didn't necessarily think it would fall out of bed, but I thought it could be a good short. That's just the side I wanted to be on. Um, it it was honestly a little stronger than I even thought it would be, but there were some good trades. So first thing I did after noticing that was like obviously there's no resistance up here, so that makes it difficult. But I wanted to find any way I could to find levels, and so these two trend lines they actually worked out pretty nice, both of them. You can see the touch here at the open, and then a lot of touches here. So anything you can find, even some trend lines like that, can be really helpful. That was the first thing. And so off the open, I was just looking at a 1 minute. Um, I was essentially trying to find a spot where I thought that uh, buyers were just starting to get weaker. And so if say we just start from here, this right here was the first kind of place I saw that was signifying any reversal. I didn't have any of these levels here, by the way, right? None of them. So these were plotted originally. So this is all I see is this candle, and it's above this trend line. And so I figured, okay, maybe it's just overshooting the trend line and going to come down. So I noticed these, and on this candle here, that's when I entered my first put. This is actually when I bought 10 contracts, and I was trying to buy one. And so I think I entered somewhere in the middle or upper end of this. And immediately, I think I was down like $300 right here. Um, but I kept just kind of watching the trade. I wasn't really focused on that, and I began to see on this 1 minute chart that there was kind of some supply here. So one of the common areas, the common ways to look for supply is a move up, and you base like you're going to go higher, but then you actually take out that up move. And so that's what I saw here. And so on this next retrace up, I actually added, I think I added like 2 or 3 more contracts right here. And then right here, that's when I took everything off, but I think 2 or 3, just because this is where we had bounced. I had entered around here, then I had extra, so that actually got me in a nice profit. And I sold most of them. And then I think I went down to a base position right here at this level, where we had kind of base before. So just literally just using the tiniest levels to scalp here. Um, and then here I re-entered again, and this was because here it's basically a larger supply, right? You get a base and then you get a drop, and it hits trendline support. And so I said, okay, I'll try to sell it again. 1 minute close above, and I'll cut everything and then look for another entry. That's the key thing here is during all of this, like I'm ready to exit. Like if one of these gets taken out, right? And maybe I have I have a position and I try to get a double top here, and maybe it closes. You can have different rules. It can be just simply a 1 minute close above. Maybe you want to see consecutive closes, or maybe you just go till you're at your max loss. Maybe your max loss is $50, and that's what I did on ABT today. I took my entry at a level, and basically I didn't my stop didn't get hit, but it kept going, and I got to my max loss, and I just cut it. And so that's another way you can do this stuff. Um, but you have to have good entry. And so that's what I did here. I think I took more profit down here, and I still had one or two contracts left. And up here, I think you guys remember me saying I cut it because that's when SPY was breaking up as well. And so I cut it all right here. And then I'm really just looking for the same thing. I still kind of have a short bias, and I'm just looking for more areas where I can get short. And so then I see this, and it's a really nice tight head and shoulders pattern. And I got in right here when it was basing. I saw it come down at the support, and it was just basing, low base. And then here on the break, that's where you can add. I don't believe I did add there. I think I just added in here. But that's an area where you could actually add, because maybe you get in one here, and then this is your confirmation. You break the low of the low base, right? Break that. You add on right here, and then boom, you're out here. And so these are quick, right? Take a partial here, take it all off here, or keep like one contract. I've been trying to get better. I mentioned in the last one about just adding on to trades when they're working. So if I get in a trade up here, here, or wherever, and then I see a pattern like a low base or a flag or a high base or whatever kind of like continuation pattern, something that can give you like a breakout, then you add on the breakout. Your stop is simply above here. You'll keep your base position, but you're just adding like a momentum contract basically to try and capture this move, which literally, I mean, if you do that for all your trades, for your trades that are working, you're really gonna improve your P&L over time, because you're using those trades that are working that you're right on, and you're actually making them bigger. So that's the key thing to get good at too, and that's what I've been trying to get good at. And yeah, going on here, I don't really remember what my execution was like around this time. I think I ended up, I was in one contract like up to here. I might have entered one more time, but essentially that was the trade, and I ended up getting stopped out at break even like back up here. So that was the trade. Those were the trades. And this trend line was actually really helpful in just kind of identifying where I can take profit. And there were some key levels here. Just simply, you don't even have to use a 5 minute, right? Just a 1 minute, and just mark the pivots. It helps. It takes 2 seconds. But yeah, that was kind of my PayPal. You guys have any questions about that?
That's a good looking chart. Can we look at SQ?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, if you guys have anything you want to look at.
Thanks.
So, you want to just look at today?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I have SQ marked up pretty cleanly, just mostly like pivots, big zones, and then this gap here, which was definitely in play today, obviously. So first thing, pre-market, you get the same thing as PayPal. Very strong above VWAP, all pre-market, so that's strong. Obviously, this got bought up strong, and it's holding. It's all the way back above where it closes, so pretty strong. On a dip, I for sure would have been looking to buy right here, because you've got this pivot. You can see how important it is. You come up to open all the way above that, so that definitely would have been a buy right after closing below it too. I mean, if it came down here, really great buy. So that's your dip buy spot. Obviously, it didn't. So if I was looking at this on the open, that would have been the only time I would have wanted to enter. Is down here at the open. You see this, and for me, you almost think get short. But at the same time, it's really strong. So maybe you get short really quick and like cover really quick at this pivot. That's definitely an option here. Simply use a 1 minute close above as your stop. I mean, it's not a very good risk reward, but if you're looking long, you want to see something like this. I mean, this is exactly what you want to see. I mean, it's a flag, and then you see the break, and you see this. It's actually a little mini 3-bar play, right? And so, say even if you were really aggressive, you're like, okay, SQ's acting really bullish in the pre-market. I feel like being a little aggressive on the long side. I think it's just going to cut this resistance out. I think it's going to just chop right through it. Then maybe you would actually just buy. You see this pivot here? Okay, they're buying 71.50. That was the initial spike. We pulled back and they bought it to a new high, so there's some demand here. Say when it come down, you're aggressive and you get in a contract right here, and your stop is just below that, right here, or even below the open if you really believe in this, right? Whatever. That can be your first entry right here. And then you just draw a little trend line. It's pretty clean, 3 touches, up bar, pivot bar, right? Goes to like 30% retrace. Typically will lead to continuation, enter a second contract. And then maybe on the spike up, you're taking one. Or maybe you're holding and then you see this.
Yeah.
And you say, okay, I'm going to reduce my size to like 1 contract. You don't always have to get out of the whole thing. You can, but maybe just reduce. And then, yeah, that's basically, it's a little messy with how it acted here, for sure. I don't think this, like, explaining it's always easier. Actually trading something like this, it looks like it would have been a little difficult to trade. I probably wouldn't have got in until
Now,
I don't even know if I would have traded this, to be honest. I don't like this level and how it acted around it. It looked like it would have been really hard, to be honest. But
you would have never
okay,
got
maybe
it at all.
here, maybe you buy back on the recapture of this. Maybe that would have been my entry. Because I want to look for something and be like, yes, that's an entry. Like this
But
below
none of this.
level,
It's like all chalk.
I would never actually take this. I might take this. You have consolidation. You break, okay, so you break out of this and you actually break above the level. Maybe I'm buying on a retrace of this, and then maybe I'm going to like a 5-minute chart. If I want to buy the retrace, so here they bought the retrace, and then you just have to choose your stop, which you pick. I mean, maybe this support would be good if you're being safe. Probably 72.20. That's basically the lowest it could close in the first 20 minutes. So maybe that's your stop, which would have been good, obviously. Sometimes I go with an even tighter stop, like a breakup candle, which it looks like. Yeah.
I wanted to swing a put.
You want to swing a put?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough. It can have momentum tomorrow. Gotta see where it opens. With the market looking like it could break up, I think it's a little dangerous. I would really want to be more of a seller, probably like.
Okay, what's ES on? 2886.
I mean, yeah, I wouldn't really want to be a seller till up here, till the highs at this point. Yeah. I don't. It could drop. It could. I think this one's you don't want to get in the way of SQ when it gets going. Sometimes it's risky.
Let's
See where it opens. If it opens back below this, maybe you short the initial pop up to it. Could be good.
screenshot that.
Um, yeah, we'll see where it opens at. We'll go from there. But this is for sure a key level. I mean, look at that. I think if you get like a pop up in the morning, it's an easy short.
Over that, if you run to 83. Dude, I love some SQ.
Yeah. Yeah, it's moving nice right now. Should be good tomorrow. We'll take a look at it. Okay, let's just go over. Is that cool? Is that good?
That was amazing. Thank you.
Happy with it? Okay. So, okay, real quick, I just want to go over SPY because it's obviously been a little difficult. And so this was the blueprint minus a couple of the levels that I had at the beginning of the week. And the reason for this sell the rip, I think the 30-minute chart paints the picture pretty clearly that this area was kind of our resistance, right up in here. If I go to a daily, I think you can actually see it a little bit better. So, okay, so yeah, so here was our pivot. This is the sell the rib zone right here. That's kind of hard to see, but it was because of this pivot, and then you had this pivot, and then you had this pivot. So you have 3 pivots, all that happened right there. And then you can see it struggled to close. It struggled here to close above it. Couldn't close above the zone. We got above it for 2 days, and so that's a breakout to me because we're above a really major area. These 2 days are breakouts. Right here, this is when I started turning bearish. And that's why I labeled this zone sell the rip. And so we still haven't closed above it. And tomorrow that can change. If we open above it, then I'm planning to buy. But right now we're below it still. So that was my blueprint for this week. That was my sell the rip zone. To buy the dip, I mean, just simply, it's just been the biggest pivot that's led to new highs multiple times. So, chances are that at this level, there's going to be a lot of demand. There's a few other levels in here that I marked, right? Because buyers have kind of been stepping up. So, like this zone here, definitely could have played a part if we came down. We never really did. We just came to this I'm important level, or this was Monday, right? Yeah. Yeah, so this day was Monday here. And we actually held trendline all day. We ended up closing well. And from then on, I was really just looking for this zone to get short. And so that's kind of how I played it. But at the same time, you always just realize, just draw something clean that just signifies the trend. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to take trades based off a break of it, but like just to show you like, hey, why can't we go up here? Like we could. The trend is up, and the trend can go a lot longer than people think. So as long as you're like big, like major pivots on an uptrend are holding, even if they're getting like flatter, sometimes you'll break a trend and you'll actually just start going flatter. That can happen too, right? Like you had a trend here and then you break it, but now you're just going flat. And that happens a lot. And so that's why I'm not a huge fan of being like, hey, this trend line broke, like we're all going to die. Because that just doesn't happen. It actually happens on uptrends a lot. You'll break a downtrend and you'll actually go up a lot. Downtrends, it doesn't really work the same. You actually will often just break out of them, go sideways, and then go higher. So realize that. But this is kind of what I'm seeing. I think we'll see where we open, but I think based off the price action from today, we want up here. If we open up here, I'm definitely going long up to here. If we open below, I'll probably short. That's really all I'm watching is this 288.7 or 77 or something, but we'll see where we open. Yeah, that's really it. I don't see any reason why we can't go higher. I'm really kind of just neutral. Maybe we start establishing a bigger range kind of in here. These are some zones that I took from long-term charts, macro charts. You can see how important they are. This was kind of like a macro analysis, just zones. I just tried to draw like macro zones. And what if we just establish a range in between these golden zones? We just kind of go like this for like a month or two. Totally possible. I mean, look what we did back here. We did the exact same thing. So I'm not ruling that out. Nobody knows what's going to happen. And it's honestly, so many people think it's going to go really far up. So many people think it's going to down. I bet you it just goes sideways. That's typically just what happens. But I don't know. We'll see. I'm just playing it day by day. That's how I see it right now. And right now, we're trying to break out. See if we hold. Does anyone else have any other charts? Any trades from this week that you want to like see how I would have taken them? Anything like that? Or are we pretty chilling?
I wanted to see how you looked at NVIDIA and the thoughts that we may short NVIDIA because it's at a high,
Okay, yeah.
and how you came into wanting to short that particular chart.
Yep. Yep. So first thing, just from looking at markets, the SMH is weaker than tech right now. And this is why. It had a solid break, and these 2 days were really massive. I mean, this was like an 8 or 10% drop or something. Yeah, 8% drop down to the lows is like 9 in 2 days, while the rest of the market dropped like, I don't know, 3% each day or 2% each day. Like it, so the SMH, which is NVIDIA, AMD, the semiconductors, was dropping way more. So that's one thing I noticed. It also broke this trend, which okay, I don't really care about, but it is resistance now. And maybe you have a little head and shoulders here too. We failed to close above that. So that being just like major analysis, just knowing that like semis are weaker than a lot of the market right now. They were strong, but now they're not really the strongest tech. And then NVIDIA. So these highs here, obviously, they're going to be tough to get through. They were. The problem is the market likes to do a lot of these false breakouts. That's how it tricks people, and you just got to be aware of that. And so what actually happened up here was this is a supply zone. So we had a rally from this gap up to here, and we based for a day like we were actually going to go higher, but then we dropped and we closed below this gap. And so and look at the speed of the sell after that. So that shows you that sellers are typically going to be much stronger up in this zone. And so if I were to draw, my supply zone would just be from this gap up to the highs. And so that's my short zone for NVIDIA. That's where I want to short. And then I go down and say, okay, well, is there a pattern that it's making that I can use to kind of converge with my theory? Yeah, there is. And it's not really perfect. But there's 3-4 touches right here. So I think it's good enough. I think it's pretty clean. And so it kind of just goes with my theory that NVIDIA could be a good short. Semis are weak. Market's at an important area. And so that's where I'll be watching. I have my alert right here. I think if we, and even if you just get up there and you're already taking half your profit by 304, that's totally fine, right? But I think, this could set up to be nicer. But I personally, I just don't like really, I don't like swinging, right? Because I don't know, you get this and then you get this and you're holding through this whole thing. Like, that's a huge fucking bounce for 2 days, 3 days, and you're going to hold through it. I don't know, I'm more of just like a take this profit, find the resistance, and then when we come back up here, just short it again. You don't ever have to be in this losing trade or trade that's like losing money, even though it's eventually going to make you money. For me, I don't like that in volatile markets. So, yep, that's kind of where I'm looking. It kind of lines up with the bigger market too. And it's obviously been getting, it's been getting sells, right? It's starting to slow down, right? Here the buying was quick. You get quick buying here, but now not really getting it, and then you have the supply. It just kind of lines up, plus the pattern it's making. So I'm for sure watching that, like tomorrow, maybe into early next week. But if it's up here quick tomorrow, I'll probably take a trade on it. So, Apple's an interesting one too. Apple's kind of just been, this thing, it closed under this high. If it opens over this high, it's game over. It's going up to the gap. With this gap right here. That could be a good trade too. Maybe we kind of just blow it off. Who knows? But I think there are some swing short setups coming soon. Very soon. This NVIDIA one could be a swing for sure. But hopefully, and it doesn't have to be complicated. It's a former false breakout high. There's a supply zone there. The market's at an important pivotal area. It's starting to look weaker, and the intermediate time frame chart is forming a wedge. And that's all I need, is a few reasons that kind of line up, and then reading the price action intraday to get an entry. And that's it. I usually try to keep it pretty simple. Throw a trend line, see if a trend line and a zone and maybe a level can converge together, and look for that. That's really it. And make sure the major market is, it also fits your thesis for the major market. Is good to have too if it matters. But yeah, it's that simple.
Okay. I like it. Thanks. I'm going to watch it very carefully and play with you or without you.
I'm definitely going to be looking at, I think NVIDIA and Apple are two to watch. And there's going to be a lot of second day plays and stuff too, like SQ, PayPal, even Twilio. That thing was just nuts today. I want to just look at this because yeah, it's hard to get in right on the open, but even if you just look at this and see the impulsiveness and that it doesn't kind of just breach it a little bit, it actually breaches it by like $3. And so typically that's not going to be a fake out. Not always, but typically that's not going to be a fake out. If you come up and you spike it to like here, and then you kind of see some rejection on the candle, but no, this candle closes at the highs, they keep closing at the highs. Now you start to get some, but now you're so far away, you can actually take an entry here. and just keep it tight, right? Keep your stop, whether it's under VWAP or under these highs. Keep it tight, keep it small, and then as it works for you, you can actually add in more. I can't say I would have added in more. Maybe as you break these highs, you just add on another one on the next dip. It was definitely playable, but you kind of had to be on top of it and ready to get in. Right on this breakout. You had to be ready to get in here or here, which I just wasn't really as comfortable with doing. And I mean, it's kind of not a very clean flag, but you can see the impulsive break, volume picks up after a really low volume consolidation. I mean, it's pretty much like gold for what you want to see in a continuation as far as volume goes. I can't say it was the cleanest flag, but it was okay. So maybe you like added some more in over the highs here or something. Right here. Wrote it up. Definitely was playable, but it was fast. I think Jose got some of that. I think he just jumped in once he saw the screen here. But yeah, anything else maybe for tomorrow that might be good that you guys saw? I don't really. I think I just have SQ, Twilio, PayPal.
Maybe Microsoft.
Who does earnings? Who has earnings tomorrow? Isn't it like TTD? Don't they have earnings tomorrow? And Roku just had them. We could take a look at Roku. I actually like the setup on Roku. Microsoft. I mean, this to me is kind of in the same like situation. I don't know, it looks the same as a lot of stuff where it's getting up here. You know, it's definitely getting up here. I think it needs it doesn't have to, but it just needs a break. It needs a pullback. The whole market just needs a pullback, really. I mean, it's just scary to be buying here, right? If you're not just trading. But I mean, if you get above this gap here, maybe you get a long trade. But honestly, I wouldn't even be looking long here. I'd be looking to short. I think that you get. Where did this close? Let's see. 3.5. Okay. Yeah, I think you open back under that. Then it's a short. Back under this breakdown candle, it's a short. Because it just hasn't. I don't know. It just doesn't look good. It's just rising and rising. It's literally a rising wedge. I mean, if you go down, you can just see by the daily candles that it's in like a weird wedge. Right? Like 30. It's just in a weird ass wedge. It's just it's slowing. Doesn't look bullish. Jesus. So I mean, it's something like that, and it's just struggling here. And so I think what you'd really want to do is buy it back here. But yeah, this level would be a buy for me. I mean, this is pretty bullish actually that we can't even fill this gap. That's pretty bullish. But I think if we can come back and actually fill this gap, it's a solid buy. I think if it opens back under this breakdown candle high right here, it's a short up into the zone, short it. If it happens to open above, maybe you go long really quick. I wouldn't be in it very long. But yeah, it looks the same.
Another drop like 178 to 165.
Huh?
That'd be nice.
This drop?
Like, nah, like a little bit more over to your left for a shorting opportunity. Like where it would drop from 178 your level
Right here.
down below.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, it's kind of like Apple right now. It's kind of like fighting really tough resistance. It looks to me like there's a lot of shorts up at those levels, so we'll see what happens. I wouldn't be surprised by like a squeeze of them and then maybe drop it. That's kind of what SPY seems like it wants to do, is like maybe squeeze and then drop it. It just would kind of make sense, but we'll see. I want to look at Roku. This will be our last one. Look at Roku. Mainly because they're right here. So these are like really, really key levels that we can play off of. I guess they're more like zones. Just the blue ones, or the purple ones, whatever color that is. These are kind of the zones that I think we can play off tomorrow. And so I know it's a little difficult to see this. But this is kind of our breakout zone. So we had this really, really sloppy kind of downtrend. And we broke it here and started getting tight, and then we broke. And so this right here is kind of where it happened. This was the breakup candle low. You can see that's where we're finding support. This was my level for Put City when we came back up, but obviously it wasn't really that great. We just gapped over it. But if we find ourselves back below this, I think that's a short on the open. And then I think this is a buy on the open. So basically, we just need to hope that it opens up in here and then makes a quick dart either to like 123 or to 128. And then that can be a really good play, and we can actually play both ways, I think. I think both these zones are going to have really good reactions. So definitely looking to play Roku as well. And this was Put City mainly just because of how important of a level it was. There's not really any, like, I guess, huge supply here. The supply is probably, I think it's a bit higher up. Yeah, I mean, this would really be like the big short, like up here. So that's just an important level, really. But I think a dip buy here, yeah, there will be some good trades on it. So I think that's it. I think we're done. Unless you guys have anything else you want to ask. I mean, I don't need to be done. But yeah,
I guess that's it. Thanks for everything, Mo.
yeah, 100%. I'll throw this on YouTube real quick.